You know, everyone's been doing this intro where they're talking about how it's ironic that Marc Webb directed the new Spider-Man movie, that they think it should be good just because of that ironic thing. But I'm going to do something different. For the haters of Spider-Man 3, this is for you. Intro's done. Alright, so the Amazing Spider-Man stars Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, Emma Stone, Rhys Ifans, Dennis Leary, Sally Field, and a few other really good actors. And so, you know, a lot of people are having mixed thoughts about this because, you know, it's a little early to reboot Spider-Man, but you know what, he's Spider-Man, and you know, you can't go like 5 years without a Spider-Man movie, you know, I mean, unless it's Spider-Man 3 into The Amazing Spider-Man. And personally, I love the original trilogy. I mean, yeah, Spider-Man 3 wasn't the best movie, but for what it was, I enjoyed it. And if you want to see my review of all those 3 movies, click right here in this little spot. I'll leave some annotations there. But if you want to see my Amazing Spider-Man review, well then just keep watching this video. So personally, I'm just going to say it was great. It was great. I really liked this movie. It was just, it was... How do I put this? I geeked out again. I almost geeked out like I did in my Avengers review. You know, I'm not going to leave an annotation because that review sucked. But honestly, I really like this film. I really like the direction they're going with this first movie because it was so gritty and realistic, and, you know, it took that darker tone, and, you know, it's so much closer to the source material, which I like, but it was still a different movie. I mean, talk about a breath of fresh air now. So I'm just relieved that this movie's great because, I mean, honestly, I love this movie. I loved it. I'm going to be honest with you. I think this is original than the other 3, even Spider-Man 2, which, you know what I was thinking? Is it really better than that one? But really, in my opinion, it was. It just was. I mean, the visual style was cooler. Andrew Garfield nailed it. Everyone, pretty much all the cast did a very good job. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, they did excellent. And while the action gave me a headache a little bit, and not that I saw it in 3D, but just like the movement kind of gave me a headache, it was still very well filmed. A little bit of shaky cam, but it wasn't a big deal. There was just a slight, there was a little bit of close-up, but you know what, the action was well filmed. There was some really good drama added to the table, which I really like. It was very well handled. Also, the romance. The romance was a lot better here, you know. Mary Jane didn't bug me this time around because she wasn't in the movie. It was Gwen Stacy. And the characters were just more real. This wasn't as corny, like I said, more realistic, but that's the characters. You get invested with the characters and you realize, you know what, these characters are so real. I mean, they're relatable. I like that. I mean, not saying that Tobey Maguire wasn't relatable or any of the other cast, but they just felt more real this time around. Everything felt more real. That's the main reason why I think this is better than the other trilogy. I think that when they make their own trilogy of this film, that it's going to be great. I think it's going to be great. There are only 2 things that I would say that don't make this movie as good as the other 3. One, the action. I mentioned it before, but you know, that train fight in Spider-Man 2, I mean, it was just awesome. But honestly, this time, it just wasn't as well filmed. It wasn't as intense. However, the action is really intense in this movie. I'm not gonna lie, it was awesome. But the only other thing I'd have to really say is Dr. Connors, in other words, the Lizard. I mean, yeah, he was pretty cool, but he was just underdeveloped a little bit. And I mean, yeah, he was actually pretty cool. I mean, the Lizard CG was actually really well done, but he just seemed a little underdeveloped. But he wasn't shafted like Venom in Spider-Man 3. He still was a really good villain. I'm sorry, I'm still geeking out here. Some of the dialogue that all the characters have in this movie is great, and the bullies are believable, and Andrew Garfield, he's a believable nerd. I mean, like I said, all the characters are a lot more real. I kind of touched up on that pretty much. Nah, you get it. You know, I'm still geeking out. Everyone knows that by now if you're watching this video, but honestly, just go see this movie. It was great. I really liked it. I loved it. It was such a good movie. I mean, please, see this movie. Forget it's even a reboot because The only other flaw I have to say about this movie is that there are some scenes that you kind of expect because you saw the other movie or you read the comics or both. But it's not that big of a deal because, if you kind of just erase that other movie from your memory, not that you should because it was a very good movie as you see in my review, but that's the only thing, just the villain was a little underdeveloped and the action sequences gave me a little bit of a headache, slight headache. It won't, I have a slight case of motion sickness or whatever you want to say, when I can't really play video games as well, but whatever, the action might not give you a headache, it's just a little moving, but it's not really a bad thing. I mean, at times it works. I mean, yeah, there's this first person thing that I wasn't a big fan of, but you know what? This movie was great. It was just, I'm glad that it was good because I was skeptical, I will not lie, because I love the other 3 movies. Well, not the third one, but I think you get what I'm trying to say. But you know what? This new Amazing Spider-Man is... It doesn't really deserve a remake in 20 or 30 years, but I will definitely say that it will probably get a trilogy because it was a really good movie. So I finally got all the Spider-Man movies reviewed, and I'm very happy to say that this was probably the best one out of all of them. A lot of people disagree, but that's okay. I will be seeing Savages on Friday, thus let's hope it's good.